Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace. Coming up, Ghana may lose $100 million from gold exports by the end of April this year if the Bank of Ghana is unable to provide guarantee funding to the precious minerals marketing company will engage the Chamber of Bullion Traders. Also coming up, illegal miners invade concession of Asanko gold mines, threatening its sustainability. Plus, soybean farmers and aggregators in the northern region calling on government to lift up the ban placed on exports. They are threatening to stop production in May as they are incurring losses. My name is Daryl Kwawu. Thanks for joining us. Details coming up. Well, first up, Ghana's net international reserves will end 2023 at nearly 3 weeks of import cover. That's according to the 2023 International Monetary Fund Regional Economic Outlook Report. This is contrary to the Bank of Ghana's summary of economic and financial data that put the country's reserves in 2023 at 2.7 months of import cover. Again, the report said Ghana's reserves stood at a little above 2 weeks of import cover in 2022. Here to tell us the implications is economist Courage Boti. Good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. So essentially, we are broke, and this new report shows how badly broke we are, doesn't it? Your thoughts about where we are right now?
We are broke is probably a very, if you like, it's not a new thing. It's been like this, I believe, for a while. The difference in the numbers, I think, is about the approach, what the Bank of Ghana is looking at and what the IMF and these other institutions are looking at, really. For the Bank of Ghana, reserve means your gross reserve, which includes your petroleum funds and a number of other instrument assets, even if they are not immediately accessible. But in the view of the IMF, what will account for a reserve of things you can easily access if you need liquidity or effect liquidity to do something. And so they would include things like your petroleum funds from it and things like that that are not exactly very liquid. So they would use the liquid reserve in computing your import cover or your reserve cover, really. And I think if you remember in December last year, the governor actually hinted that the reserve should have about 1.5 months of import cover. It wasn't a lie, it was the case. And from that time till now, of course, we have seen the scale of reserve decreasing to try to fund oil imports and things related. And it's only natural that it gets weaker, especially when there are no portfolio investments flowing in. There are no bond issuances this year that will show up that reason of that. So it has been precarious for a while, and I've been on record saying that the CD is stronger this year than the fundamentals suggest. And the reason I say that is that we started last year with reserves in excess of $9 billion, but we saw the CD depreciate by over 45% last year alone. So for us, I think this year with or just $6 billion in reserves, it suggests the reserve support is even much weaker. And if you look at it on the net basis, it's just about 2.5 or so billion thereabouts. And so the fundamentals or the reserve support is even much weaker. But we've seen this year that on the retail market, the city is doing just about 2% depreciation, really. And that has been due to some sharp correction over the last few weeks or so. On the interbank market, it's about 21% depreciation. But compared to what could have been, and given the very weak external balances that we have, really, I think the CDs are performing what the fundamentals would suggest, really. And that probably is because the usual pressures you see from portfolio reversals last year, you are not seeing much of it this year. And the reason is the bond market is just inactive. And so those offshore guys who would want to move out do not have the space to even sell to move out. We've suspended interest payments on external debt, really. And we've had a number of Eurobond coupon maturity falling due, really. And government hasn't honored those because of the temporal moratorium in place, really, or the suspension in place. So all of these have helped us maybe stay afloat a bit, but otherwise, our reserve cover is actually very alarming. And the finance minister wasn't wrong when he said that if we do not get a program by March, the economy could collapse. We haven't seen that yet because some of those interventions have helped to some extent now. But I think this is time for us to do whatever we can to get a program running and at least get a balance of payment support going. And this revelation could actually even trigger speculative activities on the market in the coming days, really. And if care not taken, we might reverse some of the gains we are seeing on inflation if the trend continues as we are expecting, really. So we are not out of the woods. There is a lot at stake at this point.
Well, what would be the implication if the IMF program is not approved on time? I mean, initially we're looking at March, and now we're looking at May.
The hope now is that with China agreeing to come on board, and then the Paris Club members, the other bilateral creditors like the Saudis and the like, are willing to give us a hearing and support us in this direction. The hope is that as soon as possible we should get a program, and the May timeline is useful, it's instructive. I mean, we can make do with that. But if things extend beyond that, it only increases agitation. It only increases the scope for speculation. And there is only so much you can get from trade receipts. And most of whom do not even belong to the government anyway. Because if I export gold, if I export oil, you might see it recorded in the balance of payment. But what percentage of that proceeds belongs to government? And if we run a balance of trade surplus, really, what percentage of that surplus goes into our reserve or adds up to our reserve and our foreign exchange position, really? It's not much. And so it still depends on government's own ability to generate some FX resources. The hope is that the start of the program would immediately unlock some $200, $300 million from the IMF from the very onset, and then it unlocks other financing options from these other development partners that could help us build reserves again, at least in the meantime, to manage our FX position going forward. Remember, we are in a Q2 period now where if it were not that Bank of Ghana has instructed that banks shouldn't pay dividends and stuff like that, you would have seen maybe dividend repatriation for most of these multinational banks at this point. Now, of course, the number of results we've seen so far show losses anyway, so there might not be enough even dividend repatriation. But for a lot of other corporations, multinationals, they are probably inching towards that point where they have to pay dividends. And so we need to steady the ship as soon as possible to avoid any further unintended consequences. And I cannot even say that saying the May deadline again, and it looks like we may meet it given the progress of things that things done.
All right, one last question, if you could do it in a minute for me. So some wondering, despite the significant fall in our net reserves, the cedi faring relatively well. How do you explain that?
That's the point I made earlier, that the performance of the cedi so far does not reflect the weak fundamentals. And I say this, and I must explain it. Yes, the cedi is relatively stable, but I also do not think that 12 cedi, 50 pesos as we are seeing it now is actually the level of the cedi. I think it's undervalued grossly. Following what happened, we closed 2021 with about 6 cedi, 2 pesos to a dollar, and all of a sudden more than twice that. I don't think that is the fair value of the cedi. But given the weak fundamentals, really, I think it's outperforming what it should have been for the year 2022. And the reason is that the portfolio reversal that actually drove the depreciation last year is not happening this time around. It's not happening because since DDEP was announced and closed, the bond market has been dormant, inactive. You do not see enough activity there. And those portfolio investors who are exposed to GOG bonds would have to sell before they repatriate. But because they are unable to sell, you are not seeing the repatriations happening. And you also realize that the government suspended interest payments on its Euro bonds and other external debt. If we were paying coupons and interest on those bonds or those loans, then what it will mean is another source of pressure for the cedi. And so all of these, I believe, are playing a role in why the cedi seems to be relatively better than the fundamentals suggest. But otherwise, It is a very weak support, regional support we have at this point. And if you see these pressures emerge, yes, then the collapse could happen like the finance minister warned earlier.
Thank you so much, Courage, for speaking with us, research lead at GCB Capital. I appreciate that you could join us on the marketplace. Now, Ghana may lose $100 million from gold exports by the end of April this year if the Bank of Ghana is unable to provide guarantee funding to the Precious Minerals Marketing Company to acquire gold from the licensed small-scale miners. About 2,000 kilograms of gold are produced every month by the artisanal and small-scale miners, valued at approximately $120 million. But PMMC, which used to buy on average 2,000 kilograms of gold every month, has not been able to purchase gold since the beginning of this month. Meanwhile, the licensed gold exporters are unable to export because they have been barred from buying and exporting the commodity. Joining us on phone, Chief Executive of the Chamber of Bullion Traders, Dan Kwawu, to share some perspective. Good afternoon to you. So tell us a bit more about the challenges with guarantee funding and how that is affecting gold exports.
Thank you very much. The government assured us that the PMMC will be giving funds by the Bank of Ghana to pre-finance the purchase of gold, which was at 2 tons per month. So we were expecting that this quantity and that amount will be readily available for licensed gold exporters to buy gold for export. But the exporters have been prevented from buying because the policy is that now no licensed gold exporter should export gold. So that is what is happening now.
Well, I'm reading we can lose $100 million from gold exports by the end of this year, of April rather. Is that true?
No, I don't think that is possible because, licensed gold exporters had presence in 13 of the administrative districts that we have in Ghana. And now that they are not buying, they have closed all their links, their offices that they had in the 13 administrative districts. So gold that used to come in to the licensed gold exporters will no more come in. So the quantity of gold that will be exported and the revenue that will be earned from it will by all means decrease. So we can't meet the $100 million in export.
Yeah, actually, I was saying that the report I was reading indicated that we may lose $100 million at the end of this month.
Yes, we will lose because the official channel through which gold will be sold, that is the PMMC, is not at the market now. And instead of establishing offices in almost all the regions where small-scale miners are, they need to have only an office in Kumasi. And it will be difficult for miners to travel long distances with gold to come and sell it in Kumasi. So it will be very difficult to get the quantities that normally should have been bought by licensed gold exporters.
So if your members are allowed to buy gold, will it bring down smuggling drastically?
If members are allowed to buy gold, I think we can be able to even exceed the target that we set for us. That's $100 million.
And I'm just wondering too, what your business is looking like since the gold for oil policy was implemented.
The business is good because normally licensed gold exporters receive investment from dealers in gold, and they use the money to finance the operations of both the miners and the agents who sell the gold. But when the policy came into effect, the export of gold by licensed gold exporters was stopped by the policy. So it's not possible for licensed gold exporters to even buy gold for us. So that's what is happening.
All right, Dan Kwawu, thank you so much for your time, Chief Executive of the Chamber of Bullion traders. We still stay with mining because illegal miners have invaded the concession of Asanko mines, threatening its sustainability. Now, though the amount of gold being lost to illegal miners is yet to be quantified, managers say such operations endanger the lives of staff and earth-moving equipment. Corporate social responsibility activities to the community also stand to be affected negatively. Nanaya Ojima has more in the following report.
Illegal mining is rife within Asanko Mine's 113-kilometer concession. In 2021, the Ashanti Regional Security Council visited one of the affected areas, sited few meters from the mine's senior staff camp. Despite efforts to halt the illegality, desired results are yet to be attained. Managing Director of Asanko Mines, Dr. Charles Amoah, explains how the environmental destruction is hampering its sustainable mining drive.
It's very huge because at the end of the day, we all know these illegal miners do not very safe mining practices, which is contrary to what we believe in. And at the end of the day, they leave the area unsafe, which will eventually result in fatality. So the challenges are one, it poses a threat to our employees, it poses a threat to our equipment, and degrading the environment, and then put Asanko in a very state as if it's Asanko that have done that degradation.
The mine contributes $2 of every ounce of gold mined for the community development. In the delivery of its corporate social responsibility, the company has handed over a fully furnished hospital to Bontefufo and its environs at the cost of $1.7 million. The hospital has 4 wards, a theater, emergency room, and 2 consulting rooms. The single-story facility comes with all the needed facilities for the hospital's operation. Meanwhile, a service provider in the mining industry, Ribotech Ghana Limited, has donated an ambulance to support the hospital. Ali Ibrahim is Chief Executive Officer.
I would say it's our CSR contribution to society. And our CSR programs cut across everywhere that we are operating, not only in our operational area, but to everywhere that we feel deemed that there's a need to support community support people. Ribotech is a company that we believe in sharing with the people that we get from.
For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
Northwest story developing there too. Soybean farmers and aggregators are calling on the government to lift the ban placed on exports. According to the group, the ban has caused the price of the product to drop so low, resulting in losses. Addressing the press in Tamale, the soybean farmers and aggregators warned that they will reduce production if nothing is done before the 15th of May.
Soybean farmers have continued to raise concerns over the ban on the exportation of the produce. The farmers say the local buyers government is protecting and unable to buy up to 40% of the produce on the market and wondered who government wants them to sell the remaining to. Addressing the press in Tama, the Director of Administration, Ghana Soybean Farmers and Aggregators Association, Abdul Hakim Isa, said most of the soybean factories are collapsed, therefore nowhere to sell their produce.
Became operational. None of these local buyers were able to buy soybeans since their processing plants are no longer in operation. So who does the government want us to sell to? The ban on export of soya has made the price of the commodity drop from 650 Ghana cedis to 400 Ghana cedis at the farm gate. This is how poor the farmer has been subjected to by this action of the government.
Mr. Issa called on government to eliminate the restrictions and allow farmers trade freely.
Prices exporters of soybeans should be dissolved with immediate effect. 2. Government should without delay repeal the export and import restriction of soybean regulation 2020 LI 2432 and lift the ban on soybean exportation to allow Ghanaian farmers to make money for their labor. If government truly wants to help local soybeans processing companies, government should provide them with funds to be able to buy and make cash payment for soybeans. 4. If government wants cheaper soybeans for local processing companies, government should resource the buffer stock company to be able to buy enough soybeans in the peak season and resell to the local processing companies at cheaper prices. 5. Government should identify farmers on government support and direct them to sell soybeans to the local processing companies. 6. Government should allow individuals with capacity to export soybeans to do so without frustrating them, to enable the industry attract the needed investment. As at now, investors are moving away from investing in soybeans production because of the ban on the exportation of soybeans. By these recommendations,
he said, people go into farming to make profit and not make losses.
We call on the government to, with immediate effect, allow Ghanaian farmers and aggregators to trade in soybeans without restrictions. Agri is no longer practiced as a culture. Agri is now practiced as a business. We are therefore in business to make profit, not to make losses. Economies grow through mass exportation and less importation, but the current stance of the government of more imports and fewer exports will send Ghana nowhere. If government fails to heed to our call by 15th May 2023, we will not fight the government, but we will cut down the production of soybeans in the 2023-2024 farming season. This is not a threat, it is just information to the public.
That report was filed by Martina Bugui. Now, Ghana has been praised for its rapid development in digital trade and friendly environment for women entrepreneurs. According to Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Nkojo-Iweala, the country has made significant progress in ensuring that many businesses thrive through digital channels. She therefore encouraged more entrepreneurs to use the opportunity in the digital space to do more for the continent. Dr. Iweala was speaking in a meeting with the Trade Minister Katie Hammond as part of her official visit to Ghana and 2 other African countries.
Other exciting areas of work at the WTO that I just want to touch on. I'm very happy that today we'll be meeting small and medium enterprises, especially women who are engaged in digital trade. One of the most exciting happenings in the world today is the rise of digital trade. Digitally delivered services are growing fastest, and in Ghana it's doing quite well from the numbers that we can see. So this is an area I want to encourage Ghana very much. Digitally delivered and traded services in Ghana are doing well, whether it's, what professional services from business outsourcing, trading intellectual services and back office functions with others, or digital trade of women. There are many women I can see, and also men, who are trading here on the internet, and that is growing very, very fast. We are trying to develop rules at the WTO that will guarantee fairness and predictability for such trade. We will be meeting some of the people trading digitally today, and because Ghana is doing well in this area, I really want to encourage that young people and women, should do more on digital trade. The other area is climate change and green trade, greening of trade. The WTO and the World Trading System should be positive instruments to help countries to trade in a way that is greener, because we all have to fight climate change. But we have to do it in a way that is just, recognizing that Africa is not the cause. We only emit 3% of global carbon emissions. How do we contribute to fighting climate change, which is affecting our countries?
Now, Minister of Trade and Industry Katie Hammond used the occasion to request for the WTO to reform its dispute settling mechanism to enhance fair trade.
Hence, the rules-based for world trade to develop. But I have been concerned to learn that you have no proper adjudication system because somehow the appellate system is collapsed. You only have the first tier tribunal. We cannot have a system of this magnitude when we don't have a forum where arbitration of disputes, which inevitably would arise to be resolved. I'm told that you tried very much to get this matter resurrected. So our hope is that by the time of the 13th ministerial conference meeting, if we have been able to do the condition precedent, we will be able to come over and make sure that these matters are properly articulated. But I'm told that because the appellate one is collapsed, the first one is completely dysfunctional and nothing at all is taking place.
Now, the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana has encouraged businesses to take advantage of its recently launched Regional Brand Index to strategize. According to the Institute, the Regional Brand Report gives a clear view of the potential of the 16 regions needed to transform the tourism ecosystem. President of the CIMG, Dr. Daniel Kasati, tells Joy Business the report presents enormous opportunities for both small and large-scale businesses.
There were two issues where the region was scoring 90%. These are areas of strength that the region can leverage to promote themselves. The areas of weaknesses, they can also work on them to strengthen them. It behoves these 16 regions to find innovative ways of, identifying from this Bible, this document that we have outdoor today, their areas of strength, and to project them. I said they should do so consciously and deliberately. If you like, I link it to this one as well. Remember, this document touches on the tourists and touches on business travelers. Okay, business travelers within the sub-region, when they come, where do they go to? They have always known Accra and Kumasi. Now at a go, everybody knows when you pick this document that there are 16 regions, that each of the regions has something of interest, right? So we expect that as people come in, even as business people, business will definitely be mixed with leisure. So in their leisure time, they should travel up country, they should travel, around the country to see the beautiful scenery around and also contribute, as a way of growing the local economies.
Right, that's the marketplace. Thanks for watching, everyone. There is more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Our top stories there. IEA proposes imposition of debt ceiling of 60% of GDP, strict oversight by Parliament. Government commits to strict BOG zero financing of budget. That's according to Ken Oforiatta, the Finance Minister. myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Daryl Kwawu. Thanks for watching.